Okay, today let's go over some fun facts on the Christopher Nolan Oppenheimer movie and the Oppenheimer guy himself. So let's get right into it. So let's go. Just want to go back to where we were. So some facts is about the movie is the casting of Josh Hartnett marks an interesting full circle moment, as Hartnett was one of the 3 finalists to play Batman in Christopher Nolan's Batman, but respectfully declined the role, later going on to say he regretted the decision, as he is a huge admirer of Nolan's work as a filmmaker and wished to build a creative relationship with him. The film will hit theaters as of now, which it's out right now. Second and consecutive collaborations between Christopher Nolan and composer Ludwig Göransson right after Tenet 2020. Another frequent collaborator with Christopher Nolan, Hans Zimmer, wasn't available since he was committed with the scores of Dune 2021 and Part 2 of Dune 2023 at the time of both Nolan films. Number 4, this is the 6th collaboration between Cillian and Christopher Nolan, so those two must really work well together. They like working together. Number 5 is Christopher Nolan's longest running film. So this is his longest running film at 180-minute duration. This will be, number 6 will be Christopher's 6th film to be shot in IMAX of 65 millimeters, 15 per PRF. I don't know what that means. I'm not a film person, so if anyone knows below, just comment below, please. Number 7, this will be Christopher Nolan's 2nd film related to a World War II event, following Dunkirk back in 2017. Number 8, the film is also scheduled to be released exactly 6 years ago to the day after Dunkirk. Number 9, although the previous collaborated in 5 Minutes Others, this is the first time Cillian Murphy played the role in Christopher Nolan's film. The lead role. I was going to say, didn't they collaborate? Anyways, number 10, while in this film, Gary Oldman plays American President Harry S. Truman. Oldman previously played British Prime Minister Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hours in 2017, also set during the same war. The movie competed against Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk during the 2018 awards and earned Oldman a Best Actor Academy Award. Nolan was nominated for Best Director, a first in his career, and Best Picture with his wife. Christopher Nolan's first R-rated film in the USA by the MPAA since Insomnia 2002. So it's his first R-rated film, 12 is Matt Damon was on a break from acting as a promise to his wife, with one condition: it would go on hold if Christopher Nolan called. As luck would have it, Nolan offered Damon the role of Leslie Groves, and the break went on hold. Darn. Sorry, wife. Number 13, I guess. J. Robert Oppenheimer was mentioned by the name in Nolan's previous film Tenet of 2020 during a conversation between Priya Singh and the protagonist John David Washington, seemingly indicating that Nolan already had the idea of what his next film was going to be about. The previous Hollywood film dealing with the same theme and main character was Fat Man and Little Boy back in 1989. The 4th collaboration, this is number 15, a 4th collaboration between Christopher Nolan and cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema. They previously worked in the Interstellar 2014, Dunkirk in 2017, and Tenet 2020. Number 16, while Tatlock was 10 years younger than Oppenheimer, Florence Pugh, who plays Tatlock here, is 20 years younger than Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer. Okay, so what do you guys think so far of some of these facts? And have you gone to see the Oppenheimer? I'd love to know if you have or not, so let me know below in the comments. Number 17. This is Christopher Nolan's first film not to be produced and released by Warner Brothers. I think we talked about this. Instead, the Oppenheimer will be released by Universal Pictures. Prior to this, all of Nolan's feature films will be produced and distributed by Warner Brothers, with the exceptions of the following: 1998, which was produced independently before being acquired by IVC Films in 2010 and distributed on home video of the Criterion Collection in 2012. Memento in 2000, which was produced and distributed by Newmarket Films. The Prestige 2006, which is co-produced and domestically distributed by Touchstone Pictures, while Warner Bros. Did international distribution, and Interstellar, which was co-produced and domestically distributed by Paramount Pictures, while Warner Brothers handled international distribution. Number 19 is a frequent actor and collaborator in many of Christopher Nolan films. Michael Caine does not appear in this one, sadly. And lastly, the third collaboration between Sir Kenneth Branagh and Nolan after Dunkirk and Tenet of 2020. So this will be their third collaboration. That's pretty cool. It's nice when you work with the same people that you're kind of getting used to working with. It's also nice to work with many different people. Now I wanted to go over. I want you guys to comment below what you guys think so far. Now that we went over some of the fun facts of the movie, we're gonna go over some of actual Robert Oppenheimer's like his facts and stuff. So like of himself and him, like the real Robert Oppenheimer. So back when he was 12 years old, he was invited to give a lecture on geology. Oppenheimer majored in chemistry as a Harvard undergrad and later made a name for himself as a physicist, but rocks and minerals were first scientific love. He was born in New York City on April 22, 1902. He used to collect rock samples in Manhattan and the Hudson River Palisades as a boy. By the age of 12, he was using the family typewriter to correspond with a number of well-known geologists about the rock formations he had studied in Central Park. Not aware of his youth, one of these correspondents nominated Robert for membership in the New York Mineralogical Club, and soon thereafter a third arrived, inviting him to deliver a lecture before the club, right biographers Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin in their book American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of the Robert Oppenheimer. Encouraged by his parents, young Oppenheimer gave the speech and got a round of applause for his efforts. He needed to stand in a box in order to see the podium. He also studied, so this is the next one, so we're going from 1 to 2. He also studied cosmic rays. NASA describes cosmic rays as a puzzling form of radiation that consists of electrically charged subatomic particles that crash into our atmosphere, where they are broken up and fall to Earth in even smaller fragments. You might say Oppenheimer was an early fan. In 1931, he and a student named Frank Carlson co-wrote the first of many scientific papers about the physics of cosmic rays, a relatively new phenomenon that had only been discovered in 1912, less than 20 years earlier. Number 3, Oppenheimer helped family members escape the Nazi Germany. He hailed from a non-observant German Jewish family. In 1937, he used his own money to sponsor his aunt Hedwig and her son Alfred, plus Alfred's family, when they had their home to come stateside after Hitler rose to power. Number 4, the first atomic weapons were developed under his leadership at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. The physicist was just 38 years old in 1943 when General Leslie R. Groves chose him to direct the Los Alamos National Laboratory. In New Mexico. On paper, he was unlikely candidate for the job. Yes, Oppenheimer had already received his PhD and was teaching at the University of California, Berkeley at the time. But as the National Park Service website points out, the thin chain smoking Oppenheimer was eccentric by his own admission, had relatively little administrative experience, but had not won a Nobel Prize, and had relatives who were suspected of being communist sympathizers. Nevertheless, he soon provided his medal. The Los Alamos team's core objective was the top-secret Manhattan Project, a secret campaign to invent the first nuclear weapons. Oppenheimer managed everything from salaries to the living quarters at the LANL, and had a real talent for settling disagreements that flare up between scientists and military personnel connected to the Manhattan Project. It was at this New Mexico lab that the Oppenheimer earned the nickname Father of the Atomic Device. I don't know if I could say the word, so I'm not saying the word. But I believe you guys know what I mean. And then we have time for one more. And that's it. So he wrote poetry. Privately, Oppenheimer said his material wasn't meant for or fit for anyone's perusal, but he had a passion for verse and creative writing. One of his poems, a somber meditation titled Crossing, even appeared in an issue of the Harvard literacy magazine Hound and Horn. Here's how that one goes. It was evening when we came to the river with a low moon over the desert that we had lost in the mountains, forgotten with the cold and the sweating and the ranges bearing the sky. When we found it again in the dry hills down by the river, half withered, we had the hot winds against us. There were 2 palms by landing, the yuccas were flowering, there was a light on the far shore and tamarisks. We waited a long time in silence, then we heard the oars creaking, and afterwards I remember the boatman called to us, so we did not look back at the mountains. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for today for you guys, because that was a lot to go over. However, I hope you guys enjoyed some of these facts. I'm going to just do a little slideshow of all some of the Oppenheimer pictures and such like that. And yeah, and then I believe comment below what you guys think, and if you guys seen the movie, I'd love to hear more about it. And also comment below of other movie facts you'd like to hear from me. Awesome. Have a great, wonderful weekend. We'll chat soon. Love you all. Appreciate you all. Bye now.